Here. Oopsie, how are you all? I hope you're doing well. So, today I have something for you which I really thought might interest many. Because I always get very clear indications from people who come to see me and say, "Hey, Andrea, I want to lose weight, but I have been struggling with this because I really love food and, I'm just not ready to restrict anything because I love food so much." And I get it because guess what? I love food too. I definitely love eating. I enjoy eating. I love good food. I teach my clients to continue loving good food. And actually, in the contrary, I really believe that the more you nourish your body with good food, the better you will feel and the easier it is for you to lose weight. Now, the interesting thing that I see often with my clients is that they say, they say basically, I will miss out on the food I'm used to, right? And I hear that, of course, and I know what it is because often they crave unhealthy food, right? Usually more the processed type, the sugary food or the salty food or crunchy food as well. So for them, it's more about the cravings. So the issue is, and that's something I work with my clients, is there is some kind of imbalance that has set in and that led to a vicious cycle that people are craving certain type of foods. And whenever obviously you take them out, because usually they're the not so healthy foods, right, it feels like a restrictive way. Now I come to tell you there are much better ways than that, is by simply finding out what are the root causes of those cravings and then heal the body and allow the body to become perfectly healthy, and then the weight will drop. Right, so that sounds all very easy, but it's not always, and that's why often people are working with me or with other nutrition coaches or so, is actually to get there, find out what are the root causes, and that, by the way, makes me think of my system, my food freedom formula, which is basically the base of my programs or the way I'm working, which is really those 5 R steps, I call them, that help my clients to overcome their emotional eating issues, their cravings, and that allow them actually to lose weight and still have good food, right? So by working on this, and I will just share those 5 R steps with you, is really something where then still you can actually get to a stage where you're going to crave healthy foods and you will enjoy good foods and you can have good foods and food you love. It's often, sometimes the mind changes about what food it loves, and also eventually the body will crave more healthy foods, and that's the trick with it actually. Now the 5 R steps are, first of all, is recognize the root causes, so knowing what's going on, what are the root causes for your emotional eating, for your weight or health issues. Then reset the body's ability to heal, which is one of my detox programs that I help with, which really helps to flush out the liver and reset the whole body so the body actually can heal. And then the number 3 is actually to repair the root causes, so repair whatever has been suffering in the body. And then number 5 is really to go into relearning healthy habits through accountability and through better planning. And then the last point is rewire the mindset, and that goes a lot in the emotional side and all that. And when you are over that, when you don't have any more false or limiting beliefs, believe me, you will feel much better and you will enjoy the food you're eating and you don't feel restricted, because often that comes from a limiting belief. Now, let me share today my top tips for helping you to overcome weight loss issues when you love food, right? So it's not about cutting out food or restricting you, as I said, but it's more finding a good balance and something you can keep in the long term. There might be a shorter time where perhaps you want to be a little bit more strict, But in the long term, you want really to work with these hacks and make it healthy habits and a lot of planning skills that help you to enjoy food and eat, but in a good way, so you can have the right weight, whatever it's right for you, right? We all are different. So number one is keep your portions in check. Now, I definitely always tell my clients to make sure, one, it is about the distribution of the macros, basically, so the protein, the carbohydrates, and the healthy fat or the fat. Now, that is one thing. You don't want to overdo it in one or the other. You want, usually when weight loss is an issue or when you want to lose weight, you want to probably keep your carbs a little bit on the lower side. Many people eat too many carbs, and that, by the way, often leads to more cravings and more energy and blood sugar imbalances. So that is something definitely, and replace those carbs you have less with more protein. Of course, that always healthy quality is here important as well. I always also say, to make that all balanced, but also to look a little bit at the portion. Now, if you have the typical standard American diet portion in a restaurant, that is probably too much, right? So you want to look at it and maybe order only half the portion, which probably will be, if it's a normal restaurant portion, enough. By the way, if interesting factor I learned some while ago is that in the last 10 years, the portion sizes in restaurants, or the official portion size, I don't know what it's called, has increased by 40%. And I find that amazing. I have no idea why. Probably because people are, more overweight. Obviously, that is a bigger contributing factor. And also, I believe it's the diet and the food industry that is like this, but it's definitely something to think about. So you can reduce easily 40% and probably 50% from your portions. Little ideas, maybe, instead of buying a big, let's say you are into chocolate bars, and that's, the food you don't want to lose out. That would be okay, unless, you're maybe, you have an issue with milk or so, with dairy, and that's in the chocolate bar. That might be one reason. But besides that, but a good idea is that you want maybe to buy just a small chocolate bar and not a big one. Or, of course, I always say rather buy dark chocolate, better than the normal milk chocolate with a lot of sugar in. So choose smaller food portions. By the way, remember also, start small and then wait a little bit and then see if you're still hungry. The body needs around, or rather your stomach needs around 20 minutes or so to recognize that it's full. And I will get to that, but obviously that is why mindful eating is so important. So take some time to eat, have a little break, and then if still hungry, then you have more. Most of the time, you're not hungry anymore. Right, the next point on there, and that I see all the time as well, is stay hydrated. A lot of people are not drinking enough water. They get dehydrated, and the body misinterprets it as hunger signals, whereas at least only a signal to drink more water. So stay hydrated with water, green tea or kombucha, or some other, maybe some herbal teas or so, and that helps you really to overcome. By the way, kombucha and green tea are really good ways to boost your metabolic system. Especially green tea helps with helping you to flush out, and also is good for weight loss. And kombucha is a really good probiotic fermented drink that helps you to populate the gut bacteria, your healthy gut bacteria, which has a big say in your weight loss, of course, and your overall digestive health, but which also helps you to populate more good gut bacteria, and hence you have less cravings as a result. So great idea here. Now, one of the other balance, what I recommend in the food, is always to make sure that your diet is high in fiber. It's huge, 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 because when you eat enough fiber, your body feels fuller quicker. Now, where do you find fiber, right? Fiber is usually you find that in vegetable and fruits. Careful with fruits, there's still some sugar. You also find a lot of fiber in pulses like beans, chickpeas, lentils, and of course as well in whole grains. Now, just a word of warning, I always say don't have too many grains because that falls more in the starchy carbohydrate, and that usually I don't recommend in excess amounts when you want to lose weight. So you want definitely to make sure you include those, and you have also fiber in nuts or so, bran-based cereals, oats, apples, porridge. These are all good sources of fiber. Again, stay more to the fiber-rich, non-starchy vegetables and beans and so on. That's usually a better option, but plenty, plenty, plenty. That is one of the big things I work with my clients on, is to get them to increase their fiber. Now, what is recommended in fiber? I recommend usually 30 to 35 to 50 grams actually. So 35 grams is a minimum. 50 grams would usually be more something I would recommend for a man or somebody who is maybe taller or so. But the standard American diet, or the normal American people, eat less than 10 grams in their diet. And that's obviously a very big difference. And chances are, unless you're really eating super, super healthy, that you're not having enough fiber. And that might be one of the reasons that you might have some digestive issues, such as bloating. It might be the reason that you have, of course, weight issues. It might be other health issues. It could be a contributor to having high cholesterol, cardiovascular, high inflammation. As I said, digestive hormones as well are influenced. And also a lot of allergies and skin issues, by the way. So if there's any of what I just mentioned, definitely you want to look into fiber. Just one word of warning, if you have a low fiber diet, please do increase slowly, because if you increase from under 10 grams straight to 30 grams, you're gonna regret it. And I don't want to go into details, but it happens in the bathroom, right? So be a little bit careful about that one. Increase slowly. Right, then another of my really good hacks for still losing weight while eating, what you enjoy eating, right, is to eat foods with high water content. So that goes, of course, a little bit in what I said earlier. Make sure you're hydrated. But those fruits and vegetables that are high in water content are really good to help you to overcome cravings and feel full. And by the way, I said fruit and vegetable, it's foods, by the way, because it's not only fruit and vegetable, but most of them. So one of my top ones is probably watermelon, and other melons as well. Strawberries, zucchini, cucumber is also really, really great. Broccoli, also, I know cauliflower. When I do cauliflower rice, for a pizza, there's so much water coming out there, and you have a big cauliflower, and then nothing is remaining after. Yogurt as well, unless you have a dairy intolerance, and fish as well, by the way, has quite high in water content. Right, I mentioned already earlier, the next point is to eat slowly. Of course, if you are wolfing things down, as I mentioned, the stomach takes about 20 minutes or so to register until it's full. So take time, be there in biting and chewing, because that helps also to digest the food better, and that of course helps you to absorb nutrients, and when the body has enough nutrients it needs less food. So very often an interesting fact actually, so by simply eating just slower is something that helps you to feel fuller earlier, right? And then you stop eventually eating, right? And also you enjoy more, the flavor and the texture and the taste and all that. And that's actually a food lover secret, right? If we love food, we definitely want to taste it. So take the time. Take off the cell phone and take the time of really looking at what you're eating, being in the present, and chewing slowly and savoring the food. And that gets me to my last point, which is exercise mindful eating. And by the way, I forgot to mention, actually, I have a blog post about all what I mentioned here. So if you are curious to have it all in reading, or you want, to print it out or keep it as a reminder, the link is here in the description for you. So you can read my blog post with all those tips. So exercise mindful eating is really, as I mentioned already, just enjoy the experience. Be fully in the present, and also make sure you recognize what cravings you have. Do you feel thirsty? Do you want something sweet? Do you want something salty? How does food make you feel? How do you feel after that? Have you eaten too much so you feel really full, or are you still hungry actually after eating? Has your stomach growled before you were eating, or were you actually only eating because you're bored or stressed or anxious, or whatever the reason of emotional eating is? So by being more mindful is obviously a very important part to help with weight loss while still enjoying good food, right? And then also pay attention, to eat food that is nutritious and healthy. I always recommend organic food, obviously, to have whole foods rather than processed foods. And make it really a feast, take time to cook. If you're with somebody, or if you're alone, dress the table nicely, put some candles on, arrange the food nicely, be really aware, be aware how much you chew the food and all that. I have, by the way, also a guide, a mindful eating guide, which is embedded in the blog post that I shared the link here with. So if you're interested, you can go there. Now, I would love to know, what is your way of maybe losing weight while still eating the food, or while still enjoying the food? Or maybe you want to share also what you're struggling with most in terms of feeling restricted. I'm really of the I'm convinced, that you don't need to restrict. You don't need to feel restricted. You don't need to feel left out. And that is something, when I work with my clients, like in my group coaching program. My goodness, I can't talk today. So in my group coaching program, I really teach them, how to feel better in your body, how to have a better relationship with food, with your body, so you don't feel starved or restricted, and then it becomes just a healthy lifestyle that you enjoy, and not anymore a restrictive diet that you have probably tried over and over and failed over and over, right? That's why you're here, I guess. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper into all this, please do also get to the blog post. There's also a way you can sign up for a free call with me, or just send me a comment here, and I'm very happy to jump on a call and organize all that to help you to find really a restrictive free way to lose weight, so you can still enjoy the food. I would love to know, which of those tips are you gonna implement? Which did you like and you are ready to implement? Also, if you watch the replay, just type it in the comments. I will always check, of course. But let me know what of those tips I shared with you you're ready to implement. So what I shared with you today were my 5 weight loss hacks if you love food. So the number 1 is keep your portions in check. Number 2, stay hydrated with water, green tea, and kombucha. Make sure your diet is high in fiber is number 3, I think, yes. And then eat foods with high water content, and eat slowly and mindfully, right? These are my top tips. If you want to find out a little bit more about that, or you want all the details, please go to my blog post. The link is in the description, so you have all the deets there. I would love to know, what is it you're gonna implement? So type that in the comments. It's a good idea always to share it with the world, because then you are held accountable, right? And that's usually what helps, by the way, to implement new habits and stick to them, right? My name is Andrea Caprio, and I would love to hear back from you, and see you otherwise next week. Bye bye.